what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
All right. What is it? Is it Sunday night? Is it Sunday night? It must be Radio Baloney Live. I'm your host, Richie Baloney. How's everybody doing out there? Izzy, how you doing? Good to see you. All right. Let's go to the menu. Let's see what we're going to talk about tonight. And then we will get back to the chat if there's much going on there. And then we will come back and deal with the stories in detail. So first off, Billy Bush reveals that ABC News created a 75-person team in 2016 whose only job was to destroy Donald Trump's career. That's not surprising at all. We'll get into that. We'll get into some of the media bias that is just persistent and that has really deranged a lot of people. Hold on one sec. Damn it, Mr. Snacks is getting upset. Danny, how you doing? Good to see you. All right. Next, we're going to get to some Canadian media bias, just constantly covering up for Emperor Mark Carney, for that much heralded technocrat, globalist, elitist, central banker Mark Carney destroying Canada. Yes, we shall get into that. It's just never ending, and it's actually the same in every country. Just whoever is not the, approved by the progressive establishment elite, they all get the same treatment. We are going to take a look at Chinese EVs coming into Canada. And there's lots to talk about there. We'll get into it. They lock you inside themselves and then they light on fire and burn you to death. Did you know that? That's a thing that they do. So Canada has become so ludicrous that even, the rest of the world really is taking notice. It has been for a while, actually. But Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn here are talking about this ridiculous gun buyback program, this utter failure in Canada. And Gary Ananda Sangari, the minister in charge of this. And we're going to get into it. Canada's a cautionary tale. We don't have that much on the docket tonight, it looks like. We've got the last stream of the evening, the last bookmark of the evening, which is a random mishmash of stuff that you guys sent in. And, there's funny stuff. There's some political stuff. We've got some Victor Davis Hanson in here. Funny story from Danny DeVito there. We've got some Victor Davis Hanson here talking about Eric Swalwell and Fang. We're actually going to get into that a little bit. And just a bunch of random fun stuff. So it's good times. Everybody has a good time. Everybody's got to have a good time. All right. Anybody watching over on YouTube, go to the second channel, Radio Baloney News, and subscribe there. That's where everything other than live stream is happening now. So all the clip videos for world news and Canada news and U.S. news and woke mind virus and meme reviews. Look, there's a beautiful meme review video right there. Everything now is going over there. So it's just at least until we get this channel, the new channel, Radio Baloney News, monetized, everything's going to be going over there. So please do go and subscribe. It helps me out quite a bit, actually. It's really nice. Good people do that. Nice people do that. All right. So now what are we doing? Travis, how you doing? So as everybody knows, we're streaming on Rumble first and foremost, then YouTube, X, and Locals. And when you follow the channel, of course you get good karma. When you become a paying member of the channel, wow, and you definitely get some good karma from that. If you go crazy, if you lose your mind in these crazy times and send me some money, well, there's good karma there for sure. There's no question about that. Easiest way, just like the stream. Liking the stream gets you good karma. And if you're in early, you get extra. So let's see. Izzy got like number 1 on Rumble. That's 6 good karmas right there. 6. See, the beautiful thing about this is that now Izzy, whatever's going on in his life, maybe he's a little anxious. I don't know. He doesn't have to worry for a couple of days because he's got those 6 good karmas from Radio Baloney, which is everybody knows is the best good karma that there is. Everybody says so. He doesn't have to worry because he's got those good karmas now. He's going to be okay. See, it's the peace of mind that I bring you. That's what I'm here for, to bring you that peace of mind, that calm. Drama's got number 2. Dramus got number 2. That's 5 good karmas. You think Dramus is worried about anything right now? I don't think so. Not with those 5 good karmas in his back pocket. Beautiful thing. Denny says, good evening, everyone. Happy Easter. Happy Easter to everybody out there. Hope you have lots of chocolate. Although chocolate's getting incredibly expensive these days. All right. Should we just get to it? Ottawa James, good to see ya. All right. Well, people are starting to show up now. Okay. It started out a little slow. It is Easter, I guess. I guess maybe people are like having, like doing stuff and family stuff and everything. Whatever. I don't care. Do whatever you want. It's not my problem. Whatever. There we go. Rant juice. It's been a little tired before this stream, so it's good. Ottawa James says, thanks for streaming. Well, thank you for showing up. Thank you for ignoring your family and showing up here instead. I do appreciate that. All right, shall we get into it then? All right. So let's take a look at this. Jack Unheard posted this. Says Billy Bush reveals that ABC News created a 75-person team in 2016 whose only job was to destroy Donald Trump's career. He says, I know the guy who ran the division. It was dedicated to basically getting him. This is criminal. So I've got some stuff here talking about, let's see, ABC, NBC, CBS slapped Trump with 92% negative coverage as 100th day of second term approaches, study finds. It's been unrelenting from the start. I've got some other stuff too. We will get to that. We will get to that in a minute. First, we'll take a look at this. Here they're talking to Sean Hannity. Let's take a peek.
Their determination to find something. Yeah. Imagine going around asking that question. Who has something? Who has, like, there's evil in that.
ABC,
even if it's somebody that we don't like.
They had a division dedicated with 75 people in it, because I know the guy who ran the division, which was dedicated to basically getting him.
Wow.
And all the big network news did. I understand all of that. Like, what you can do, they have a voice, and different networks have different voices.
Their determination.
So Billy Bush was the guy, I believe, who was having the conversation, the private conversation with Trump, but they were mic'd. But the private conversation on a bus, I believe, but a private conversation about, the grab him by the pussy thing. Right. And Billy Bush didn't leak that. That was not him. But that's where you might remember that name from. Now, it's no secret that there's been an effort to get Trump right from the start. Again, look at this. ABC, NBC, and CBS slapped Trump with 92% negative coverage as 100th day of second term approaches, study finds. It's relentless. Trump continues to face relentlessly hostile coverage, according to Media Research Center. It's been relentlessly bad the entire time, ever since he went down that escalator. Evening newscasts on ABC, NBC, and CBS have slapped President Donald Trump with 92% negative coverage as the 100th day of his second term approaches, according to Media Research Center. So this was from April 28th, 2025. So, of course, why would that change? That wasn't going to change. Media Research Center. So the Media Research Center analyzed ABC's World News Tonight, NBC Nightly News, and CBS Evening News from January 20th through April 9th and found 899 stories that discussed President Trump or the Trump administration. The Media Watchdog Group found that 92.2% of the coverage was negative compared to only 7.8% positive. So you're just trying at that point, right? You're just trying to make it bad. Let's go back a little bit. This was from September 9th, 2024. ABC coverage, 100% positive for Harris, 93% negative for Trump. So September, before the election 2024, 100% positive for Harris, 93% negative for Trump. Now, it's not that there's not things to criticize Trump over, and hey, there's a Iran war going on right now that a lot of people are not very happy about, and there's legitimate criticism of that. But 100%? It's because they cover literally everything. Well, like Trump closing down the border was covered negatively. Just everything. He could cure cancer. They would cover that negatively. So, hold on a second. The study revealed a stark contrast to coverage of former President Joe Biden's first 100 days. The study revealed a stark contrast to coverage of former President Joe Biden's first 100 days in office, which was 59% positive, according to the MRC. Let's see. Hold on. Tariffs were covered for 361 minutes to lead the way, followed by Doge receiving 301 minutes of coverage, and immigration received 233 minutes of airtime on ABC, NBC, and CBS's evening newscast, the study found. Now, look, at some point, if you're being objective, you have to, at least just steelman an argument a little bit, right? Like, there's positives to shutting down a border, to stopping masses of people from flooding over your border illegally. There's positives to that. There's definitely has to be positives to not allowing your country to be invaded by foreigners. But they just can't find it. Let's see. The network spin on Trump's tariffs faced 93% negative coverage, while the Doge cutbacks to government were greeted by 97% negative spin. There are definite positives to cutting waste and fraud, right? 97% negative spin. I mean, I'm not saying you couldn't, legitimately find something to criticize, but you'd have to think that would be overwhelmingly positive, right? If you're being objective, going, yeah, waste is bad, fraud is bad, right? Yeah, maybe getting those Civil War survivors off the rolls is probably a good idea. 97% negative spin, total insanity. And when you have a situation, so when you have something like what's happening now, so when you have a war, say the Iran war right now, and it's definitely a war that's happening. There's going to be legitimate criticisms of that, but it's definitely colored by this constant negative, I mean, we know they're not going to report anything positive whatsoever. We know that. So it leads me to thinking that, okay, it's like across the board, aside from Fox, across the board negative coverage on this. Everything is bad. Everything is a disaster. And I have to ask myself, do I trust these people? Maybe I should hold back a second. Am I going to just believe everything Fox News tells me? No. But am I going to just believe the New York Times and CNN and NBC News and ABC News and CBS News? No, definitely not. I'm going to hold off. I'm going to wait. I'm going to hold back my judgment on this. And the thing about Trump is he's been counted out. He's been left for dead so many times at this point. I'm not really ready to do that myself, right? I think I've learned my lesson on that, right? I am not going to count him out. He's done things that were unthinkable, like just becoming president again. Really? After the January 6th whatever that was, whatever that was, it really did look like he was done. Like there's no recovering from that. I mean, just getting elected in the first place. Then you take a look at things like Venezuela. I'm not going to underestimate the man. Is it entirely possible, this whole thing, what's happening with Iran, with the Strait of Hormuz, that it's a fiasco, that it's really not going well, that it's going to end very badly? Is that a possibility? Sure it is. But I'm going to hold off judgment until the whole thing is over at this point. Because again, I don't trust the media because they turned salt and pepper shakers at the White House into a major scandal, or they tried to, right? Like, who gets how many scoops of ice cream? I mean, these are stories that they breathlessly covered. So you'll have to forgive me for, withholding judgment on this until the whole thing is through. All right. So that's everything on that. So I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I know I don't trust the mainstream media on it. And again, it's been a constant tsunami of just criticizing every little thing. I mean, the White House Christmas decorations becomes a big story. I feel it kind of taints everything a little bit. So anyway, I'm withholding judgment on it. And we shall see. All right. What are you guys talking about? Let's see. Brian Watson, how you doing, Brian? Says the King of England. Hold on one second. Let me just check something. Hold on. Okay. Let's see. King of England, no speech on Easter, nothing from Carney either, I think. Yeah, that would not be cool from them. And I think that King Charles is a Muslim anyway, so he wouldn't do that. I think he converted. Well, that's the scuttlebutt around King Charles, that he converted. I don't know. He seems to be a big fan, though, that's for sure. Rosie, how you doing? Good to see ya. Rosie got like number 5. So that is, I don't know, is that like 2 good karma? I think it's 2 good karmas. Boom. That's a good amount of good karma. All right. So it looks like this could be a really short stream tonight, actually, because I just don't have much here. Although we could spend a lot of time on the last tab, the one that's full of stuff you guys sent in, all the garbage that you guys sent in. What do we got next? All right, let's take a look at some Canadian media bias here. So, nothing can be the Liberals' fault. That's the mainstream media's line in Canada, and they're sticking to it. That's their story, and they're sticking to it. Here's Robert Fife. Robert Fife. What does he have to say? And this clip was posted by Scott Robertson, and this is on CTV News. Let's take a peek.
Pierre Poilievre keeps trying to blame every job loss, inflation, everything on the Prime Minister. But Canadians know where that problem is coming from. It's south of the border. It's in the White House. And
Canadians know. Well, they think it's that because you people keep telling them that. You keep covering for your liberal masters. That's why Canadians think that. They think they know that. Let's continue.
And I think there's a sense from the Canadians that because of his experience as a former central banker at 2 places and running or being a chairman of a large trillion-dollar corporation, that he's the right person for the times, and they're giving him an awful lot of slack. When you think about a 29% personal popularity over Pierre Poilievre, I've never seen those numbers in my life. Pierre Poilievre.
Yeah, but we've never seen this level of propaganda before. Like, it turns out propaganda is really, really powerful. Like, propaganda, especially state-funded propaganda, which this is, it's really powerful. It's really effective. they can't. I mean, people like this and all these people on this panel, they just are like, wow. I mean, he's. We have no idea why Mark Carney is so popular, except that he's great and everything. It must be because he's so awesome. But otherwise, we have no idea. Yeah, it has a little bit of something to do with what happens on these shows every single night. It turns out it works. It turns out people are malleable. People are easily influenced, especially when they're living their lives and they don't have a lot of time to spend actually digging in or doing that, committing that carnal sin of doing their own research. And they rely on just talking heads like this and teleprompter readers. But the fact of the matter is that the Liberals have been in power since 2015. All of Canada's problems existed before the Trump tariffs. Have they helped? No, but it's not the main source of this. The main source is us. It's carbon taxes. It's taxing ourselves to death. It's making our own products more expensive for us. It's making it's the red tape, it's the bureaucracy that strangles this country. It's bad government policy. It's massive debt. It's printing money, which creates inflation. It's mass immigration. These are things that have nothing to do with Donald Trump. This has to do with the people that are the paymasters for these people that they get their subsidies from. Canada average housing prices. Let's see. So there's March 2016, shortly after Justin Trudeau took over the country. And let's see what happens. Oh, boom. All of a sudden, mass immigration. Well, at the same time, there's this weird coincidence that housing prices went through the roof. They're starting to come down a little bit now. I mean, still obviously like double what they were. Well, I mean, far more than what they were back in 2016. They're still massively high. They're still unaffordable. That's why the prices are coming down, is because it turns out nobody could actually afford those prices, especially in a dying economy, especially with GDP per capita going off a cliff. Trump had nothing to do with this. And this is a persistent problem. What do we have here? So here's immigration. Take a look at this. Take a look at this immigration. Just by weird coincidence, housing prices went through the roof and became totally unaffordable for most Canadians, while immigration shot through the roof. Right? And, Carney's fixed that, though, we hear. Oh, he's fixed that. Has he? Has he fixed that? Let's see. Temporary and permanent resident targets for 2026. These are just the targets, folks. The targets. One thing we've learned about the Liberal government is that when they have a target, expect it to be much more than that. So what's this? 380,000 new permanent residents, 230,000 new temporary worker arrivals, 155,000 new student arrivals. That's 765,000 people? That's the target. Would anybody be surprised if it ended up being 1 million? And let's keep in mind, all of these people, the vast majority of them are still here. The temporary foreign workers, these people on the student visas, we have no idea how many of them are still here. The people that were already brought in, it sounds like most of them are here. So this is a disastrous number. But the media can spin it as, oh, it's a cut, so therefore everything's fixed now. No, it ain't. These are insane numbers. This is totally irresponsible. This will satisfy Mark Carney and his friends very well with their globalist plans. Make no mistake about that. What do we have here? Here's just little things. Like, it gets into everything, right? Density of hospital beds in Canada from 1976 to 2022 per 1,000 population. Well, 1976, you had almost 7 per 1,000 people. What do we have now? Well, as of 2021, it's 2.53. It's about the same now. I did look into it. It's about the same now. Yes, and this number going down predates Trudeau and Carney. But it's a problem. This is a logistics issue, right? It's not getting better. There are so many problems in this country. What do we have here? Violent crime rate in Canada from 2002 to 2023 per 100,000 residents. Well, it was actually going down. So you can see during the Harper administration, it went down quite a lot. Then what happened in 2015? Well, Trudeau got in. Going up and up and up. This is the 2023. And judging by the fact that we have now, like this year, you have like a town in British Columbia declaring an emergency because of the extortion problem from new Canadians. Yeah, these numbers aren't getting any better. All right. So these are all things that predated the Trump tariffs. All of Canada's problems, all of Canada's economic problems predated the Trump tariffs. Has it helped? No. But this is just he personifies Canada's delusion right now. Let's take another look.
Pierre Poilievre keeps trying to blame every job loss, inflation, everything on the Prime Minister. But Canadians know where that problem is coming from. It's south of the border. It's in the White House. And they...
No, it's not. Is it helping? No, but 85% of our products are still tariff-free. Okay? You can't blame Trump. Why do Canadians know, quote unquote, know? Because they're telling them that. They think they know. They don't know. They're misinformed because of these people. Let's see. What's this? March 2025, unemployment rate at 6.9%, budget deficit of $42.2 billion, food inflation of 2.8%. March 2026, unemployment rate at 6.7%, budget deficit of $78.3 billion, food inflation of 4.1%. Mark Carney had been advising Justin Trudeau since 2020. It turns out that Trudeaunomics were actually just Carneynomics. And I predicted that Carney would be Turbo Trudeau because Trudeau was just doing what this man told him. He was this man's protege. I think very lazy, uninterested protege, perhaps. This was posted by Patrice O'Hamilton. Let's see. Unacceptable Canadians. Somalia smart. Liberals. Always wrong, but damn pleased with themselves. Certainly are. Elbows up, Canucks. Let's see. What do we have here? James MC. Yeah, right. Of course it is. Nothing to do with the last decade plus of liberal government policies then. Canada, the industrial implosion. Investment in industrial machinery and equipment volumes. Yeah, you can see here Canada. This actually just mirrors our GDP per capita too. As the U.S. keeps going up, even under Biden, Canada's keeps going down since 2015. It's just literally every metric. This is every metric in Canada, right? But blame it all on Trump. Blame it all on Trump. And unfortunately, the brainwashing, the conditioning, the social conditioning is working in Canada. I think we have to admit it at this point. When you look at Carney's approval ratings, Gerv posted this. Dude, there was a reason Justin Trudeau was deeply unpopular in 2024. It's because the economy was terrible. That was before Trump. Now the economy is just worse. How stupid does someone have to be to believe this? Is Robert Fife, I noticed here, didn't mention the fact that the tariffs are actually worse now under Carney. He's made them worse over the last year. Didn't mention that either. So there you go, folks. It's like Canada's a cautionary tale for the rest of the world. It really is. The rest of the world, don't be Canada. Watch Canada, learn from Canada, and do the opposite. And let's take a look at this here from Mark Nixon. Posted this. It's a clip from Rebel News. It's actually really long. It's like 23 minutes almost, but we're not going to watch all of it. But it's Elbows up voters attend Mark Carney's liberal fundraiser for $1,775 per seat. Attendees say they're voting for Mark Carney because he's economic rocket fuel for our economy. When asked what he's done in the last 12 months, they can't name a thing. Yeah, but the Rosemary Barton's teleprompter told him that that he's great. So, that must be true.
Questions? Okay, well, can he say that? Does he not speak English?
Why are you following me?
Well, this is the way to the venue, sir. Hi, sir. Are you going to the dinner?
I don't know, is it a dinner?
Oh, I thought so. 17.
Hold on, let's go back to here.
Are you going to the Liberal fundraising dinner?
Yes.
Okay, then. Can you make the case for the Mark Carney Liberal, sir?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, I don't blame you. Can you make the case for Mark Carney?
No, sorry, guys.
Oh, you can't. Okay. Can you make the case for the Mark Carney Liberals?
That's up to Mark Carney to make for you.
Oh, really? Are you going to the Liberal fundraising dinner?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Can you make the case for the Mark Carney Liberals, sir?
I'm sorry, no problem.
Oh, okay. How's the elbows up thing going?
Oh, it's going great, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you give me a tangible sign of an achievement?
I don't travel to the United States. I haven't since the end of COVID.
Oh, okay.
And when I shop on Amazon, I look for Canadian products.
How about yourself?
When asked what's one tangible thing that Carney's done, he says, I don't go to the States anymore. And when I go on Amazon, I try to buy Canadian products. Wow. Well, that's not a thing that Carney did. They don't know. They don't need to. The TV tells them that everything's great and that Mark Carney's doing a great job, and he's super smart, and he's off signing MOUs all over the world. And that's going to fix everything. And he's mean. He's tough on Trump, except when he's around Trump. In which case he seems fairly, servile to him. But when he's not around Trump, he's super mean. He's super mean to Trump, as long as Trump's not there. And he makes idiotic, incoherent, and hypocritical speeches in Davos. So you don't need to know what he's done. Just trust the CBC teleprompters. That's all you need to do. All right. Let's go back to the chat. What are we, half an hour into this? Well, I'm really going to have to stretch out my rants tonight because we don't have that much stuff. Let's see. What are you guys talking about? Izzy makes such an important point here, such a salient point. Says the media is the enemy of the people, enemy of the people. Yes, I agree with that. Ottawa James says, can't stand Robert Fife. You shouldn't trust journalists that are paid in any part by the government, right? If a third of their salary is subsidized by the government, their next raise depends on the government, you should not trust them. It's just obvious, is it not? This is just obvious on its face. Don't trust state media. Izzy says, can't stand any of these talking heads. It's because they're all liars and biased, I believe. That's what I think. Izzy says, these are things a central banker understands fully. So this is intentional, controlled destruction of our country. Yes, it is. It absolutely is. Here's the thing. I don't know how much more obvious it has to be with Brookfield following Carney around the globe and making deals, a week after he left. Mark Carney's interests are not Canada's interests. Okay, Mark Carney is the guy who's been setting up this, net zero finance infrastructure for the last 15 years. Right? He's made a lot of promises to people. He's influenced a lot of people to invest a lot of money. He's got his ESG fund at Brookfield, which he's totally connected to, and is just obviously nothing could be more of a conflict of interest than the millions and millions of dollars he stands to gain from Brookfield if all goes well for them somehow. Keep in mind, all of these net zero companies that he's connected to can only make money from subsidies. They're not profitable on their own. They can only make money through subsidies. And guess who's holding the national credit card right now in Canada? Mark Carney. You wonder why? Do you wonder why? The deficit went up double from what it was going to be under Justin Trudeau. Well, a good place to start is to start thinking about it is subsidies to net zero companies, to carbon capture, all of that, to carbon credits, all of that stuff. Where was I going with that? Yeah, so Mark Carney's values are not your values. They're his values, and really it's his interests, right? And his incentives, and you might say perverse incentives. Izzy says the goal has been the destruction of nation states. Well, yeah, I mean, it's about centralization. You know, the EU, I think, was a model for this. You know, you take all of these independent countries with their, independent cultures, with their different cultures, and just mash them up into one thing. Decide they're all the same thing, that you're going to, there's Brussels is going to control their immigration policy. It's going to control their economic policies. It's going to try and control everything. It's going to try and control just basic regulations within their countries. And I think the goal is for that globally. Central planning, global central planning, under this kind of Chinese-style neo-fascist global state. I think that people like Mark Carney look at China with envy. In fact, Justin Trudeau said it out loud that he admired the basic dictatorship there because they could just do things, stop on a dime and do stuff. I think people like Mark Carney look at China, who is just very heavily involved with, and he's getting Canada involved with, which is going to be disastrous for us. But he looks at China and just slobbers and drools at the thought of all the power that they have. I think that's the ultimate goal, is just for the ultimate central planner, which is global. Trudeau Survivor. How you doing, Trudeau Survivor? It says 30% of the cost of a new home is taxes. And the builders have to pay tax costs before even a buyer exists. Well, I mean, it's been since 2015, liberal, radical, progressive government, ever more moving towards a socialist, a central planning socialist state. Yeah, I mean, there's all. What's being inflicted on Canada is not going to be solved in one term. So when the Conservatives get in, if they really are sincere, if Pierre Poilievre is really sincerely going to try and fix this country, he's not going to be able to do it in 4 years. It's multi-generational damage that's being done at this point. So it's really the whole country is going to have to be deloused from the progressive ideas. It's just going to have to all be just scrubbed away. It's going to take a long time. And there, of course, the immigration issue is a generational concern at this point as well. Denny says the Canadian media does an amazing job dumping and disinformation towards some brainwashed individuals. Yeah, it works. If you just keep saying it over and over and over again, people will believe it, especially if they don't have time or they don't have the interest to, or the curiosity to actually investigate themselves. Izzy says, well, commies, dirty, filthy, lying commies need new sources of revenue to buy off people to keep voting for them. Yeah. Yeah, well, part of the mass immigration push, I'm certain, was to just bring in a new underclass, all right, dependent on the Liberal Party. Just become a one-party state. That's the goal. That's the plan in the States, right, with the Democrats. I think it's the plan right across the Western world. I think Trump stopped them just in time, although the second the Democrats get back in, the the gates will be flung open again. Obviously, they're not going to stop trying. Let's see. As he says, too many low info voters, thanks largely to our media. The thing is, like, even if you're not very interested in Canadian politics or policy or the economy or whatever, right? Like, still, like, shouldn't there be some shadow of a doubt just going, well, you know, we were seeming to have these problems, like going back further than the Trump tariff claims, right? Like the Trump tariffs, like it has been since 2015. Like you'd think that would kind of click in some people's minds, but apparently it just doesn't. I mean, they literally can't remember anything. You know, they wake up every morning and history is just a blank slate that the CBC can write a new history for them on. Apparently. Ottawa James says, Fife is just a part of the Mockingbird media. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. It's disgraceful, honestly. Izzy says, sadly, it will be a decade before most will even notice the damage. Well, the one demographic that handed it to Mark Carney was liberal boomers. Of course, there's lots of awesome boomers in Canada, and some of them watch this show. Yes, but the liberal boomers went for Carney by like 20 points. That's who actually got him elected. And they're the most likely to vote as well. And I think it would take Carney going after their home equity. So putting a new tax on their home equity. I think that's the only thing that might wake them up. It won't even wake up all of them or even a large percentage, but maybe enough to allow a conservative party to slip in. Trado Survivor says, shopping on Amazon is Canadian patriotism at its finest. Well, that's the funny thing. That guy didn't even say shop, because Shopify is Canadian. You could use that. But it's mind-boggling when these people give you a glimpse into their minds and how they see the world, right? He's a super patriot and he loves Carney because he stopped going to the States after COVID. And when he's on Amazon, he tries to buy Canadian products. What a hero. What a hero that man was. Weird. Izzy says, you need to give up more sovereignty. Oh, we're giving it up to China right now. Don't worry. Izzy says, people have short memories. They really do. Rosie's back. Good to see you back. All right. Let's get to the next thing, shall we? Chinese EVs. Chinese EVs. Just what Canada needed. Chinese EVs exploding, self-incinerating, exploding, locking you in and incinerating you. Chinese EV spy cars. Just what Canada needs. Just what the Canadian auto industry needs as well, obviously. To be undercut by a bunch of cheap Chinese cars. Jasmine Lane posted this. So what exactly was the purpose of importing EVs? To have them sit in lots unsold? Well, what's she talking about? News, U.S. to block Chinese EVs from U.S. to block Chinese EVs entering from Canada. Ambassador says cars imported to Canada won't get across to American market. So if you buy one of these things in Canada, you won't even be able to drive it across the border. And obviously, you're not going to be able to sell them in the States. By the way, this is bipartisan in the States. This was Biden as well as Trump. It was Biden before Trump, actually. So, yeah, it doesn't matter whether it's a Democrat or Republican. This is not going to fly in the United States. And certainly we're not going to be selling them any of these. It just doesn't make any sense with an auto industry already reeling. This doesn't make any sense. In Canada, data would show that unless there are rebates, EVs hardly sell. The only time they do is through subsidies. So the deal with China includes what exactly? Canadian auto dealers now forced to make room for EVs nobody wants unless the taxpayer helps them afford it. Again, this is not going to be good for our reeling auto industry already. In fact, it's crazy. All the while, pardon me. All the while, the Canadian government has spent billions to already subsidize an alleged EV market that's apparently going to happen one day. Yes, $50 billion was spent, and with no return. Putting aside the more sinister concerns and speculations, let's assume those weren't real for a moment. How exactly do Canadians as a whole benefit from this arrangement? Well, they don't. Didn't we vote in Mark Carney to get a deal with Trump by last summer? Well, I guess the one way is that China reduced its tariffs. It brought its tariffs on some agricultural products from Canada, which is temporary relief because China is far more hardball and unreliable than the United States. So how long will that last for? I'm guessing probably not that long. And is it really a smart trade-off? That's the question. I'm going to guess that it's going to turn out to not be. And that was Jasmine Lane, who's a very good host of the Jasmine Lane Show. So they've also changed their tune on this quite a bit. Again, this was a big thing for the States. They're not a fan of these Chinese EVs. And I've got a feeling this is not going to help with the trade negotiations with the States, which should be the priority. Obviously, it should be 99% the priority. You know, if Mark Carney goes over and signs an MOU with, if Mark Carney goes and signs a MOU with Trinidad Tobago to import an extra 14 crates of maple syrup, maybe in 5 years' time, it's not really helping us that much. It's really all about trade with the United States. It's 75%, 80% of our exports go to the States. We will wither and die on the vine if we lose that. If we lose that 85% of our products being tariff-free, that should be the focus. This just seems like Mark Carney is trying to kill it. Is he really literally trying to just destroy the Canadian economy so the whole country can be sold off to parts to his globalist buddies? None of this makes sense. If he were, it doesn't make sense if he had the best interest of Canadians at heart instead of the best interest of himself and his friends. Let's take a look.
Over the weekend, China said that it would impose counter tariffs to the EV ones that we put on back in the summer. Is your government...
This is March 12th, 2025.
Thinking about considering removing any tariffs on China, any of those EV tariffs, for example?
We're not.
You will not.
We're not.
Even given the issues with the United States right now, there's no second guessing our posture towards trade with China at this moment?
Well, I would say not with respect to the tariffs that we put, because there was a good reasons. Mm-hmm. We would say we would never be a backdoor to cheap Chinese vehicle, which are overly subsidized and where they don't respect labor law and environmental laws. I mean, there's a reasons why they're dumping.
Oh, labor laws. We're going to get to that. Don't you worry. We're going to get to that. But let's continue.
Still in North America, and you see these cheap vehicles coming here. We want to protect our industry. We want to protect our workers. We want to protect our communities. And the reasons why we imposed the tariff in the first place still remain very valid today.
China's strengths in electric.
Yeah, a year ago. A year ago, still very valid. Not so much anymore.
Electric vehicle sector are undeniable. We need to learn from innovative partners, access their supply chains, and increase local demand. Canada has agreed to allow up to 49,000 Chinese electric vehicles into the Canadian market, with the most favored nation tariff rate of 6.1%.
Do you have an advanced degree in technology?
So, big change there. And again, it doesn't matter who's in the White House, Democrat, Republican. This is a no-go. They're not going to be happy with this. In fact, they'll be enraged by it.
Cybersecurity? Yes or no?
No, but
Thank you.
I have spent.
Sorry, Like I said,
37 years
I
in
need to
that
get short answers,
business.
please.
Okay.
The other one is you belong to the China Strategic Risk Institute. So does this institute specifically look for risk when there isn't one? Yes or no?
No,
So why is it a risk institute?
because it's analyzes risks that are obviously there.
Thank you. So the last question then is, you claim about forced labor in Shenzhen. Have you witnessed this yourself? Have you been there ever?
I've been to China many times.
Have you witnessed
since
forced labor in
1979?
Have
No.
you witnessed forced, just a short answer. Have you witnessed forced labor in Shenzhen? Yes or no? So did you get that
I
from
work closely
hearsay?
with Human Rights Watch, where researchers
Okay.
did witness.
So this is the Liberal Party now. Did you personally witness the slave labor in China? He only believes things he's seen with his own eyes. So maybe World War II didn't happen. This is the carny liberals. Are you starting to see a pattern here? Starting to see a pattern.
That's it.
So thank you.
I'm going to take this opportunity to move the following motion: that the committee unequivocally condemn forced labor practices in China.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'd like to move a very simple, very brief amendment to the motion to strike the words in China and replace it with globally. En français.
Replace China and make it globally. They're doing China's bidding. This is PR for the dictatorship in China. This is the carny liberals, folks. What is going on here? Well, it's obvious what's going on here. Mark Carney has very big business interests, net zero climate, net zero finance interests in China. That's what's happening here. Total and complete lunacy. Bruce McGonigal posted this. Here are some key facts. Mark Carney calls cheap Chinese EVs a part of the new auto sector, one he intends to grow. This means Chinese EVs will be undercutting Canadian-made EVs going forward. Yes, the same Canadian-made EVs that the Liberal Party of Canada dumped $50 billion into. Mark Carney plans on ramping up Chinese imports to 70,000 every year. It's just... how can people see this and not go, wait a second, something is very wrong. This isn't the China that, I grew up in. Sorry, the China. Maybe Canada will be part of China, actually. Maybe that's part of the New World Order. This isn't a lot of people. Why aren't more people looking at this stuff and saying, this is not the Canada that I grew up in? Let me show you something from the Washington Post. They came to build China's EV future. Investigators found conditions akin to slavery. So what did Mark Carney say? Hold on a second. He said that we needed to learn things, right? Hold on. Where was it?
Canadian market deniable.
Hold on. What did he say?
Today,
China's strengths in electric vehicle sector are undeniable. We need to learn from innovative partners.
Okay, what innovative things are we going to learn from this partner, China? They came to build China's EV future. Investigators found conditions akin to slavery. Guess that's what we're learning. This is a new innovation we're learning, slavery. The electric car maker BYD was hailed as a job creator in a struggling Brazilian city. Then authorities started investigating an improbable tip, because these sorts of things you don't expect in like civilized societies. Again, this is from the Washington Post. Dozens of China. This was observed by a local. Dozens of Chinese men were getting off a bus and heading into a pair of squat two-story buildings at the end of the road. Oliveira, this is the local who witnessed this. Oliveira assumed the outsiders had some type of meeting and would soon be on their way. She'd been inside the structures, painted dark green, and knew they weren't nearly big enough to house them all. This is in Brazil. Let's see. Hold on. Oh, yeah, here we go. So these are conditions in there where you can see just people passed out on the floor. Hold on. I've got something. Here we go. Systemic fraud. In May, following one of the most complex and politically sensitive investigations in its history, Brazil's public labor ministry accused Brazil BYD Auto and two of its Chinese labor contractors at China Xinjiang Construction Brazil and Tecmonte Intelligence Equipment of Brazil of trafficking manual laborers into the country and subjecting them to conditions analogous to slavery. So what they do is they take Chinese people over to do the work and then treat them like slaves. Defined in Brazilian law as forced labor, restricted freedom of movement, and degrading conditions. In a civil suit, authorities alleged BYD and its partners had preyed upon 220 vulnerable laborers, some of whom were illiterate, duping them with false promises of high pay. They were then pressed into punishing labor from which they could not escape. Many had their passports confiscated, prosecutors alleged, and much of their promised pay was withheld. At night, prosecutors alleged they were locked inside fetid dormitories. Patrolled at times by armed guards. Armed guards. What did Carney say here? Go back.
Still remain very valid today.
China's strengths in electric vehicle sector are undeniable. We need to learn from innovative partners. Access
that's the kind of innovation that Canada does not need. I mean, literally, the innovation is slave labor and just horribly abusing workers. Chinese workers, actually. Those will be the ones doing the work in Canada. We keep hearing about they're going to set up factories here. Well, the factories are mostly automated by this point anyway, and the people working there will be Chinese, probably treated horribly, having their passports withheld, this sort of thing. Let's see. What's going on here? Chinese EV safety concerns center on high-profile battery fires. Those sound bad. Structural failures and crashes and potential hazards from electric features like hidden door handles. Data security risks are also heavily cited, with critics raising concerns about potential surveillance capabilities leading to increased regulatory scrutiny, both inside China and internationally. I'm sure China is taking that very seriously. Battery thermal runaway. Increased reports of fires involving major brands like BYD, that one, and Li Auto have heightened worries about battery stability and structural integrity. Hold on a second. I have to calm down, Mr. Snacks. Hey, buddy, come on. All right. Where were we? Battery thermal runaway. Increased reports of fires involving major brands like BYD, I don't know how to pronounce that, and Li Auto have heightened worries about battery stability and structural integrity during collisions, electronic door handle failures, several fatal crashes, including incidents with I don't know how to pronounce that, EVs, involved passengers being trapped because electronic door handles failed after power loss, prompting a ban on such designs starting in 2027. I'm sure that all of these safety problems are going to be dealt with. Let's see. So it doesn't mention here that this has happened, is that passengers being trapped inside are burnt to death when the car lights on fire. And there's this problem with the battery thermal runaway, right? So a bad combination. Structural vulnerabilities, data security and privacy, I don't know. None of this is sounding like a really great idea to me, quite frankly. I don't know. I mean, what is behind all of this craziness? Hold on one second. I keep playing this clip, but it's so unbelievable that I think you need to play it for people over and over again, or otherwise they just refuse to believe it. This should come up really quickly. Hold on. Here we go. All right. I think it can all be, I mean, none of this really seems to make any sense to anybody who's interested in the well-being of Canadians, but I think this here might explain it. Let's take a look.
And I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order.
There you have it, folks. Do you really need anything else? Do you need anything else? There you have it. I believe that Mark Carney's goals and interests are not those of the people that are voting for him. I do not believe Mark Carney's motivations, his goals, are the same as that of just normal Canadians. I think that should be obvious at this point. All right. Was there anything else in here? Let's see. Oh, yeah. Let me show you this here, by the way. These EVs are heavily subsidized by the Chinese government, by the way. So, I mean, that's kind of a no-no, right? When you're importing products, because it's unfair to your domestic industry. Subsidies built electric car graveyards. Bloomberg reported this in 2023. There are even more now. The Green Dream is a flop. June Slater. Well, Mark Carney, the former UN Global Climate Finance Envoy, is trying to rescue it, I guess.
A subsidy-fueled boom helped build China into...
Anyway, you've just got these huge lots of just abandoned EVs. See, there's plants growing out of them. Probably they'll just go in for the Canadian market. They'll just go in. They'll pull the weeds out from the, between the seats, the ones growing out through, the pedals, out the ones with the weeds growing out through the dashboard. They'll just pull those out, and you can have your own Chinese EV for $40,000. All right. So yeah, it's all madness. Madness. Here's more of these abandoned EVs. Look at this. Just EV graveyards. And this is because they're subsidized by the Chinese government, right? Which is not a fair practice. And it's why you might not want to import these to undercut your own auto industry. Yeah. It's a whole different Canada now. Whole different Canada. What's happening here? Here's one of those Chinese EVs. Let's see. Oh, that looks troubling. Let's turn that music off. Oh, it's exploding. It's catching on fire and exploding. The good news on this one is the guy was able to get the door open, or maybe he jumped out the window. Maybe he get the window down. So he didn't get burned alive, thankfully. So that's a happy ending for that one. Oh, look at this. I have a bit of a tendency to do this, to explode and burn everything. Yeah. Welcome to Canada. Welcome to Canada. All right. Let's get back to the chat. Let's take a chat break, shall we? Let's see. Let's see. Izzy says, by then we'll have enough new Canadians to keep the Liberals in power. I will, if Carney gets his majority, I expect to see some kind of a move from him to try and naturalize, try and get as many people citizenship as possible, as quickly as possible. Change some rules, shorten the waiting period. I absolutely expect that. The media, why wouldn't they? I mean, the media will be 100% behind him on it. So we'll face no mainstream criticism. The elbows up crowd will just nod and go along with it. Let's see. Izzy says Chinese EV and new portable maid and cremation centers. Well, that's it. Maybe that's the plan, right? Because they're expanding medical assistance and dying to just everybody now, right? So you go into the doctor with a headache, and now they can try and convince you that you need to die. So maybe they're combining the portable maid centers with Chinese EVs, and the car makes the decision for you. It's time for you to die, the Chinese EV says. And there's a slight change on the spreadsheet that Mark Carney is looking at, which represents the Canadian population. Izzy says, doubling our trade with China is pointless. 2% to 4% of our exports is meaningless. The vast majority of Canadians have no idea how small the numbers are. I think that trade with China is, I believe it's about 2%, maybe it's 3%, somewhere around there. And China is in the business of selling shit to other countries. This is the thing, right? Like, Americans do buy stuff, right? Like 75 to 80% of our exports go to the States because they buy stuff. China's not in the business of that. China's in the business of importing as little as possible and then making stuff and undermining the industries in countries like Canada, for instance. So the whole thing is just a pipe dream, and doubling it would mean nothing. It's foolish, and China is a far worse trading partner anyway than the United States. Let's see. Can we get the energy clip instead of this idiot? As he says, Tuesday. You got to remind me, though. It's in the contract. Izzy says, we have been compromised. Yes, this is no secret. This is the last 4 elections have been compromised by China. The liberal leadership race was interfered in to the benefit of Mark Carney by China. It's out in the open. It's no mystery why the liberals don't seem to mind this stuff. It benefits them. Our cabinets have been penetrated, Izzy says. Well, we know Klaus Schwab said the WEF had penetrated half of the Trudeau cabinet. Most of them are still there. They're just all being recycled through different cabinet positions they can't do. Ottawa James says EVs are not practical for Canada's climate. Yeah, they lose about 40% to 50% in extreme cold, which a lot of Canada is extremely cold for extended periods. They don't really work for Canada. And also, too, charging them, it's insane. Also, our grid can't handle it. None of it makes any sense. It only makes sense for Carney with his global climate finance investments. Izzy says not practical for rural workers or livers. No, clearly not practical. Ottawa James says Carney is such a boring drone. He certainly is. Rosie says sets us up well for the NWO, the New World Order. Donk says, hello, everybody. Happy Easter. Happy Easter to you. Ottawa James says, I heard a doogie bark. You did. That was Mr. Snacks. He was getting mad at people trying to live their lives outside. Rosie says, got to sign out early. Too much going on here. Well, thanks for showing up, Rosie. Thanks for putting in an appearance. Enjoy your time with your family and your Easter and everything. Let's see. Spambot fodder, how you doing? 7th like, I'd say that's 1.5 good carbs for you, my friend. Boom. Trudeau Survivor says in 2024, Canada exported approximately nearly 30 billion in goods to China, which represent roughly 3.8% to 4% of Canada's total annual goods exports to all countries. Yeah, I thought it was closer to that than 2%. I think the next one down is about 3% the UK, and then it goes down to 2% from there. These are not figures that are going to change anything. And in any case, with China, again, they're not in the business of buying a bunch of other countries' stuff unless they have to. I mean, it's literally their like whole economic model, right? The idea that China is going to rescue Canada from the scary United States is insane. We're going to wake up tomorrow morning and Canada's still going to be in the same place with the same giant border with the United States, with all the roads and railways and everything that are super convenient for trade. And the United States is still going to be the biggest economy in the world. And we're still going to have an ocean on one side, an ocean on the other, and a frozen wasteland to the north. None of that is going to change. There's no Davos speech that's going to change. There's no op-ed in the Toronto Star that's going to change that. You know, Rosemary Barton's teleprompter cannot change that. The whole thing is completely freaking insane. Let's see. Dunk says she's a big improvement over the Canadian shop teacher. Well, let's let the audience be the judge of that. Let's see if we can find that. Hold on. I'm sure you guys must remember. Canadian shop teacher, giant prosthetic. Okay, let's take a look. Here we go. I'll let the audience judge. A blast from the past. This was at 2022, and, obviously a symptom of a deep sickness in this country. Let's see. Oakville teacher allowed to continue wearing large prosthetic breasts, school board says. It ended up with I think at the end, the teacher either stopped teaching or had to take him off or something. But I mean, this is how insane it is. At any point to say, oh yeah, you can just keep dressing up like this and teaching kids right there. So I don't know. What do you guys think? The sanding instructor wearing the special sanding shirt, or that? I know which one I think is more patriotic. Let's see. Trudeau Survivor says, since 2010, Canada's exports to China has always been between 3 and 5%. And it's not going to go up considerably from that. Again, China's not in the business of buying other countries' stuff unless they absolutely have to. Like, that's our whole economic model, is that they make the stuff cheap to sell to us. As he says, I'm blind. I'm sorry I blinded you. I destroyed your optic nerves with that, with the shop teacher. Well, here's a capital idea from Trudeau Survivor. Maybe Carney can build a high-speed rail from China to Ottawa. All this stuff about the high-speed rail, it's a vanity project for Canada. It works well in places like Japan, with extremely high density populations, like high density cities. Japan is small. What is it? It's like maybe twice the size of Vancouver Island or something. It's not that big. It's like a small American state. And they've got like 200 million people jammed in with cities of 30 million people. It works well in places like that. Canada is even in Ontario, where it's the most densely populated, it still doesn't compare. It actually doesn't make a ton of sense. $90 billion. It's a vanity project. Obviously be very popular with liberal voters who don't think about anything. That sounds great. Obviously be popular in, from Montreal to Ottawa or something like that. Be popular there, but for most of Canada, they're never going to use it. I'm never going to use that. Why would I care about their vanity project? Don't. I don't care about it. Especially when we're running insane deficits. Again, Carney's doubled the deficit from what Trudeau was going to do. The country's gone mad. It's just gone completely mad. Windsor to Quebec City. I mean, to Quebec City? What? Like, Quebec City's a small city. So I guess that's for Quebec votes. Like, Canuck Six Stringer says, big fest choo choo, toot toot. Oh, God, the country's gone mad. Country has gone goddamn mad. What do we have here? So here's Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn talking about the public safety minister in Canada, Gary Ananda Sangari. I love saying that name, Ananda Sangari. Now, his first name isn't really Gary. His real first name is unpronounceable, so we just call him Gary. And I've said many times, he's Canada's very own Chauncey Gardner from being there. He is our affable half-wit. And he's in charge of public safety. He's in charge of this gun buyback program as well. Let's take a look. So, of course, the Canadian government is trying to take everybody, legal firearm owners, guns away. You know, farmers, take the farmer's shotgun away, this sort of thing, for insane reasons, purely political reasons, actually. It's going to do nothing to prevent crime. Handgun crimes, gun crimes in Canada are committed with illegal firearms. It's not legal gun owners. But let's take a look.
That guy should be forced to go door to door. Go door to door in
should.
a bright orange vest with a circle.
Actually, hold on a second. Hold on. I think this is what we want to see. Here we go. This was posted by Furkan Gazukara. Absolute humiliation for the Canadian government. Citizens are completely ignoring the mandatory gun confiscation program with only a 2% compliance rate. Officials were secretly caught on tape admitting the massive overreach is just a stunt for votes. Well, that was Gary Ananda Sangari, who, by the way, has to recuse himself from certain terrorism files because of his association with terrorists. Not making this up, folks. Let's watch.
The declaration period for firearms owners is scheduled to end next week. So far, only 2.5% of the estimated 2 million affected firearms have been declared.
2%.
And 98% of firearms owners haven't made a declaration.
Canada banned 2,500 types of firearms, gave gun owners until March 31st, essentially today, to declare them. 1 week before the deadline, 2.5% compliance. 2.5. That's not a slow rollout. That's a full-on rejection.
So if they're not declaring by next week, what's your plan, Minister?
The plan we have is, as of March the 31st, the time to complete the enrollment will be done, and then the RCMP.
Yeah, this serves no public safety purpose whatsoever, because these are people that are not committing crimes, right? But it's the sort of thing that will make liberal voters cry tears of joy to hear, legal gun owners having their guns confiscated by the government. I mean, it's all they've ever dreamed of.
And other agencies will be available throughout the spring and the summer to do the collection.
The collection?
Wow. Do the collection.
Like he's speaking about dry cleaning, not firearms, not property that belonged to law-abiding citizens before the government decided it didn't anymore.
So, Minister, you're saying that RCMP members, we just heard an Auditor General report saying we're short 3,400 members. We're dealing with a wave of violent crime across this country. And you're saying that your plan is over the spring and the summer to deploy RCMP officers to go door to door to firearms owners and seize their firearms?
So
this is the progressive, the leftist playbook, the socialist playbook. Every single time there's a crime problem in Canada that's been created by the Liberal government since 2015. And because they're progressives, they can't deal with the criminals that would be not progressive. So you have to punish legal gun owners, people not committing the crimes. But it will be popular with liberal voters. Again, because they're not going to think about it. It just sounds progressive, so therefore good.
This is a voluntary program, Mr. Lloyd, as you're aware, and the RCMP resources and the resources we will use with law enforcement.
He says it's a voluntary program. It's not. If you don't do it, the police will show up at your door. It's voluntary until it's not anymore. And if you don't, the police will show up at your door and they'll arrest you and confiscate your weapons.
Does not contemplate in any way using existing resources. These are additional resources. So these are those who are off duty, those who may be retired.
Go back
I
to-
can ask them to do that.
They're going to take
I just find
retired
that
people
very
to go door to
concerning
door.
that, we're gonna
It's
be
like their new
sending
ICE. There's
police officers door to door because,
What the fuck are they-
frankly, many police forces across the country are refusing to participate in your program.
And here's the part that should make your jaw.
Again, because they're progressives, they can't do. And Mark Carney is not a moderate, by the way. He's every bit as woke as Justin Trudeau. Because they're woke, because they're progressives, they can't. Their ideology won't allow them to do anything rational about crime. So they have to distract. They just say, well, it's just guns and it doesn't matter who has them. Statistics be damned.
Hit the floor. The Minister of Public Safety, the guy running this entire program, was secretly recorded saying the gun grab isn't worth the money.
The Minister of Public Safety accidentally told the truth, and he was recorded doing it. He said that the gun grab is not worth the money.
He doubts local police will have the resources to enforce the Liberals' mandatory gun buyback program and says the reason the Prime Minister is sticking with the policy is to appease voters in.
Yeah, everything is just optics. It's just politics. But let's take a look here. Hold on a second. So TM says my favorite part. Let's take a look.
That guy should be forced to go door to door. Go door to door in a
should.
bright orange vest with a circle in the center of it.
Yeah, I was just going to get his name because I wanted to say that guy's a pussy and go do your own shit. That freaking little honky.
Doughboy.
Yeah, that little
sloppy
bran muffin.
Yeah. Little sloppy muffin top.
Yeah. Get your, that's his name right there. Gary, and I'm going to disagree.
And
that's what I said.
Anandasagari. That guy should be forced to go door to door. Go door.
Nobody can say his name. Can he even say his own name? I don't know. But yeah, Brad Muffin's good, but I prefer affable halfwit. I don't know who the person in this video down here. I don't know who that was. Maybe it'll say underneath. Hold on. No, it doesn't say. But any case, this is again, this is the state of Canada, right? Canada has become a cautionary tale. It's become a joke. We look like a circus to the rest of the world, to any sane people in the rest of the world. And unfortunately, with Mark Carney about to seize a majority in Canada, with these by-elections coming up and the bribing floor crossers from the Conservatives and the NDP, it's just going to get worse. Because if there's one thing we know about these people, they have no shame. Here's Gary Anandasangari. This is from December 11th, 2025. Let's take a quick look here. This is our Canada's very own Chauncey Gardner, our affable half-wit Gary Anandasangari.
I want to ask you about firearms and firearm crime, because really when you look at some of the statistics from police, it suggests that most of the guns used in the commission of a crime in this country don't come from legal firearms owners in this country. They come from the United States. I was looking at some of the data. The Toronto Police Service very helpfully supplied some. 90% of the guns that they take off the streets as part of a sweep when it comes to a crime come from the United States. Illegal firearms from the Americans. Why crack down on legal firearms owners who arguably go through very stringent requirements to get a license and then have to follow a bunch of paperwork and regulations and what have you? Why go after them and not pour the $742 million you've allocated for this gun buyback program in.
You can just tell, just looking at his face, you can see, just looking at the vacant expression on his face, you know that he's not going to have a good answer for this question.
To beefing up the things that are happening at the border to stop what is really the main source of crime guns in this country.
JP, I've outlined the other efforts we're making on firearms, including additional resources at the border, additional RCMP, CBSC officers, the changes we're making to
but is it public money well spent?
Record.
You know, we obviously are in a finite budget situation. You're about to cut across the board some 15% if the prime minister gets his way. $742 million that is going to be spent on this buyback program. Couldn't you deploy that to other areas, including cracking down on where the guns are actually coming from, where these crime guns are sourced, the United States?
Well, the answer is going to be no, because politics are more important.
I think in this era where money is tight, does it make sense to expend this sort of money and police people who are not largely responsible for the gun crimes that we're seeing?
Canada. Don't be Canada, people. Just don't. From Brian Lilly here with the Toronto Sun. Carney Liberals' national gun buyback program doomed to fail. Alberta and Saskatchewan have rejected the program, an initiative that began under Justin Trudeau, while other provinces have refused to help. This is January 17th, 2026. This is January 17th, 2026. This thing has been dead for a long time. They just won't let it go. The so-called gun buyback program the Carney Liberals are unleashing across the country won't be national in any measurable way, since some provinces won't enforce it, and there are police departments that are saying they won't enforce it either. Quote, these are firearms designed for war, for killing people. They have no place in our communities. We know it. The people of Quebec know it, and so do people throughout Canada. Ananda Sangari said. That's right. Those farmers that aren't committing crimes or killing anybody are. What is his point exactly? These are firearms designed for war, for killing people. Really? Are you really that worried that the farmers are going to just start rounding people up and murdering them? I don't think they actually are, but I think this is language that will work for brain-dead progressives. Those words alone show how little Minister Ananda Sangari knows about the guns he is banning. They are not made for war. In fact, hammered home when Ukraine rejected the idea of taking these very guns into their possession to help in their fight against Putin's Russia. Well, that was one thing that was floated, that, well, we'll give them all to Ukraine. Except these aren't weapons that are going to be effective on a battlefield. Like the farmer's rifle is not going to be effective on the Ukrainian battlefield. In typical Ottawa fashion, the program is estimated to cost $742.5 million. Good Lord. But has set aside just $248 million for compensation, meaning that 2/3 of the program is for bureaucracy and 1/3 is for compensating law-abiding gun owners for the government making their property illegal via decree. It's just the absolute state of Canada. These are the priorities. It's censorship laws. These are the policy. These are the legislation priorities in Canada: gun buyback and censorship laws. These are the bills that they're putting forward and passing. So when we're in an economic crisis, doesn't that seem a bit odd? Again, maybe their priorities are not the priorities of Canadian people, of the Canadian people. Maybe people will wake up and figure it out. I don't know. Probably not. All right. What are you guys saying? Let me check the chat while I can still put out a sentence. Trudeau survivor says, talking about the giant prosthetic breast shop teacher in Ontario. Upon starting at the new school in Hamilton, Lemieux, that was his name, Lemieux, appeared in class presenting as a man with facial hair and traditional male clothing and without the prosthetic breasts or blonde wig. I think the whole thing might have been just a scam, either to make a point about the absurdity of the, of Canada's, gender policies, or he was just trying to, he figured here's a way that he could get a big payout, create a big embarrassing thing that's going to expose all of the hypocrisy and the incoherence in Canada, in Canadian policy, and make a bunch of money, just get paid to make it all go away. Maybe something like that. Trudeau survivor says, some people thought the shop teacher was a troll. Turns out he's a wacko. Well, I don't know. Maybe he was just a wacko. Donk says, Biden said he was going to build a railroad in the Pacific Ocean. I think I remember something about that. Let's see. Ottawa James says, a waste of money. Izzy says, got to take weapons away from the people so that they can't fight back as they stomp on your face with a boot. Well, I think that the Freedom Convoy, the protest in Ottawa, really threw a scare into them. I mean, they did use the, formerly War Measures Act, now the Emergencies Act against them so they could put the boot on their faces and freeze their bank accounts. So, yeah, I mean, I think that really threw a scare into the ruling class in Canada. So they're overreacting. Izzy says, so leave your guns at the door for the police and the keys to your car for the criminals. And if they want more, comply with all their demands. Well, yeah, that's it. Because where was it in Toronto? The police said, just leave your car keys by the front door so that when the criminals inevitably break in to steal your car, they're right there. They'll know where to find them. And, it's just better that way. Typical leftist insanity. Izzy says, Alberta independence. Well, you've got the signatures, right, for the to have the referendum. So that's going to happen. It's happening in October, I believe. So that'll be exciting to see what happens. All right. Let us go to the last. What are we, an hour and a half in? Rachel posted this. Thunderstorm rolling in at sunset in South Dakota. Not gonna lie, if I were there, I'd be snapping pictures like crazy too. This looks absolutely majestic. I think Rosie sent this one in. Wow, that is impressive. There's music, I think, on this, so I'm not gonna play it, but wow, that is impressive. It's very ominous, isn't it, actually? Wow. All right, let's keep going. So you guys tell me, is this real or AI? I thought the dog brought back a dirty toy, but it turned out it wasn't a toy at all. Do you guys think this is real or AI? Puppy. Well, this has got music, so we're not going to. So look at this. It was a real panda puppy. Is this real? What do you think? Real or AI? You guys tell me. Look at that. Well, it looks very real, doesn't it? Well, look at that. Having fun with the dog. That is adorable. Look at that. I wish I could find a panda puppy. Look at that. The daughter loves the panda too. Where did they get the bamboo to feed it, though? One day, this giant panda started knocking on the door. Apparently, it was his mother. Huh. We saw him leave us, but it was the right decision. So real or fake?
What is that? Oh, it's a panda puppy.
Oh, it's a panda puppy. Ottawa James says, guessing real. Guessing real. Anybody else going to take a stab at it? Real or AI? Anybody? Real or AI? I'm waiting. Somebody else get in there. I think there's a delay on the chat, but let's see. Well, I'm going to count down from 5, and then I shall reveal the truth. Izzy says, I don't trust animal vids anymore, so he's going to say, I'm guessing that's a no. Trudeau Survivor says, mostly real. The daughter was AI. So I think we'll take a no from Trudeau Survivor there. Drabus says AI. So we've got 1. Ottawa James is saying real, and then we got 3 saying AI. So I'm going to count down from 5, and then we're going to do it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So in this video, we are asked to believe that Izzy says AI. And we're expected to believe that some Americans found a panda cub. And then one day the panda's mom showed up because I guess just from the wild panda population in the United States, one of those, suburban pandas, they're like raccoons, but they're pandas. This is AI, people. This is AI. This is not real. You're not going to find a panda cub. There's not very many of them, right? And if you're in the States and there's a panda, it's in a zoo. There's not even many of them. Ottawa James says, LOL, well, I had a margarita. The thing is, it looks super real, right? It looks super real. I watched it the first time without the volume on. I was like, what? Can this be real? And then I played it, and there was like American voices, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's clearly. The thing is, yeah. But I'm going to say this, Ottawa James. You should be filled with shame. You should be filled with shame. We still love you. We still want you to come back. You're part of the team. But shame. But you have disgraced. You've dishonored your ancestors, Ottawa James. I'm very sorry. I'm only honest because I care about you. If I didn't care about you, I would lie. I would lie. I would lie like the devil. Shame. Shame. What's going on here? Planet Memes. That makes perfect sense. All right, let's check this out. What is this? Oh, God damn it. We don't need that music. Let's go. Let's see. So that's mother-in-law, and he's rearranging the letters. Mother-in-law, and he changes it. Woman Hitler. I had a mother-in-law who was actually really cool, I have to say. But it's a lot of people's experience. Mistakes were made. We can't do the sound. God damn it. It doesn't need the sound though. Mistakes were made. See, that would be Mr. Snacks right there. Very brave until he's not. Let's see. Best cut your dog's nail hack ever. All right, let's watch this. Because Mr. Snacks he's not a fan of this at all. See, we had to take Mr. Snacks into like a groomer to do it because he hates it so much. And they said that they reported back that he was not brave. He was not brave at all. It was quite pitiable. Let's see. Is this the parenting hack we never knew that we needed? All right, let's take a peek. Hold on. Oh.
Mom, can I have a popsicle?
No, honey, you'll spoil your...
Hey parents, tired of those out-of-control kids? Throwing embarrassing tantrums wherever they go. At the grocery store, on the playground, even at the dinner table. You've had it with parenting, but wait, there is a solution. Introducing Nap Time, the latest, most effective tool for child tantrum prevention. It's simple. Just douse a rag with our patented Sleepy Time formula, place it over your child's cry hole, press and hold gently for 8 to 12 seconds, and presto, no more tantrum.
I was beginning to think adoption was the only way out. Then a friend of mine introduced me to Nap Time. It's never been so quiet around here.
The secret lies in Naptime's revolutionary fast-asleep formula. Developed by military-trained scientist doctors from NASA, Naptime's powerful molecules rush to the child's brain on contact, gently inducing instant tranquility.
This is chloroform.
Oh, dear. All right. This is just weird. Albino Pac-Man frog male. I thought this was like a piece of pizza for a second, but it's like a weird frog. Don't lick it. Don't lick that frog. No April's. Let's save this for tomorrow. We'll save that for tomorrow. Here's Victor Davis Hanson. We're big fans of Victor Davis Hanson on this channel. Here he is talking about Eric Swalwell and his relationship with the apparent Chinese spy, Fang Fang. Let's take a look. And and this is relevant right now. This was published on March 31st, 2026, because as Swalwell threatens FBI with legal action, as Kash Patel reportedly weighs Fang Fang files release. So he does not want people to know about what happened with him and the very probable Chinese spy, or maybe some would say obvious Chinese spy. So let's hear Victor Davis Hanson on this.
Eric Swalwell, well, as I said, I wrote some critical things of China, and Fang Fang came to see me as a consular official out of the Bay Area. And I think she told me she was a political operative that monitored American politics. But when she walked in my office at the Hoover Institution, I kept the door open. I had one of my research people with me the whole time. And the way she changed accents and how she was dressed, you would have to be a stupid, narcissistic idiot to fall for that. I'm serious. In my case, it was, maybe he would say it's easier because I'm an old man, but my point was, it was about 10 or 12 years ago, and he fell for that. And he got involved with her when he was on the House Intelligence Committee. So end of story with that guy. He's anybody who would fall for her, honeypot, it was just a joke. Anybody could see that.
And so that explains his stupid
anything he
ex-post.
says. He's a Beto O'Rourke of the House.
So Victor Davis Hanson met Fang Fang, took one look at her and went, Chinese spy, Chinese spy. The astonishing thing about Swalwell is that, look, this is the Homeland Security Committee. So here's all the Republican members. Here's the Democrat members. Who do you see? Eric Swalwell. Eric Swalwell. If there's even a hint of sleeping with Chinese spies, Chinese honeypot, like, it doesn't matter who you are. You should not be involved in something as sensitive as, Homeland Security Committee. That is insane. Like, it boggles the mind. How is it possible? This guy. Representative Eric Swalwell is a prominent member of the U.S. House of Representatives, currently focusing on national security through the Committee on Homeland Security for the 119th Congress. Like, how does he have any political career at all? Like, Chinese spy. That should be it. Over. Like, either he is as incredibly stupid as Victor Davis Hanson says, or he was okay with it. Seems like the guy might be compromised. Like, you might want to exercise extreme caution in that case. Committee on the Judiciary. He serves on the subcommittee on courts, intellectual property. Intellectual property, you mean the thing that China's constantly stealing? Artificial intelligence. These are all very sensitive things. And the internet, as well as the subcommittee on crime and federal government surveillance. How is it possible this guy is still there? All right, how about this? Past roles. Intelligence. Previously, Swalwell served on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence from 2015 until he was removed by Speaker Kevin McCarthy in January 2023. During his time there, he was ranking member of the CIA subcommittee. Gee, I wonder why Chinese intelligence would send a honeypot to him. This is a sign of incredible dysfunction in the United States government, that this guy could hold these positions. Again, even a hint of being compromised, you should be gone. His political career should have been over long ago. Like, it's baffling. It's mind-boggling. Clearly, the people that have the power to stop him are not stopping him, and you have to ask why. All right.
Eric Swalwell.
That clip of Victor Davis Hanson was posted by Western Lensman here.
Well,
all right.
Well, as I said, I wrote some critical things.
Let's get on to the next thing. So what's this? Smooth move, Scott on camera. Let's take a look. That's pretty good. Okay, that was impressive. That's better than this drawing the circle. That's pretty good. Huh. Okay, not bad, not bad. All right, pretty good. Not all of these are all that impressive. That's just, I don't know what happened there. All right. I don't know. The bag one wasn't that great. Let's move on. April Fool's done right. I can't stop. Actually, we'll save this one for tomorrow because there's some swearing in there. Riding a unicycle with 25 wheels. Is it a unicycle if it has 25 wheels? It's not. It's supposed to be one wheel. But anyway, I mean, you get the point. And he has a line there holding him up. You can see it occasionally. So if he falls off of it, he's not there. There's the line there. He's held on. So he's okay. Still, I mean, it would be a bit nerve-wracking doing that, wouldn't it? All right. This is why you don't want the jet ski that's on sale. Let's take a look. Is that, it looks real to me. It's all grainy and everything. Is it AI? I don't know. But anyway, I hope the guy was okay. Let's, I think we've seen this already, that one. There's some stuff we've seen. Some of this we got to save for tomorrow, I think. Well, how about this one? Defiant L's. So who is this? That's Rob Riggle. My girlfriend is Polish. She was born into communism. She lived under it. She's like, they don't know what they're asking for. Well, that's very intentional, right? There's a reason why nobody is taught. Like, you can go through high school, you can go through college, you can get a PhD and have absolutely no idea what it's like, what communism is really like. You're going to get a biased opinion of it. They'll probably talk about, they're not going to, considering that most professors now and most teachers are socialists and are going to have a positive view on socialism and even communism. They're not going to tell you all the bad stuff if they even know themselves. I mean, I think that these topics have been so, they've been so, what's the word I'm looking for? Why isn't my brain working? Hold on.
I ain't got a good brain.
I think anything that students are learning about the Soviet Union or China, anything about communism is so sanitized at this point that they just really don't know. It should be the same, like wearing a hammer and sickle patch and all of the, tens of millions of needless deaths that it represents should be like wearing a swastika. There's a reason that it's not.
You wonder why people have heart attacks at 59. I mean, that's why.
Yeah.
Because that's what capitalism is. And I'm sure, Mom Donnie is watching this right now, as he always does, I'm sure, and saying, exactly, Bill, that's my point. Capitalism terrible. Yeah, it's terrible, except it's still better than the reverse.
Yeah. Well,
you want to really be, Soviet people died at 38 from being drunk all the time because they couldn't take their life under communism.
My girlfriend is Polish. She was born.
Or because they were intentionally starved to death, as millions of people were in the Soviet Union, or they starved to death because of the incompetence of the regime, like in China. But let's continue.
Into communism. She lived under it for a little while, and she shakes her head. She's like, they don't know what they're asking for. They don't know what they're talking about.
And it would be so easy to find out. It wasn't like it happened 1,000 years ago.
Exactly.
It happened in our lifetimes.
She would explain to me the grocery card they got. She got a grocery card. Her family got a grocery card, and they would.
This is Poland.
Yeah.
Warsaw.
Yeah. And you were allowed. Your family of 4. You get X amount of milk, X amount of liters of milk per week. You get X amount of eggs per week. You get X. And then you take that card to the store, which sometimes didn't have any of the stuff on your card. Sometimes they just had we're long on toilet paper today.
Oh, yeah.
So take some toilet paper, but come back tomorrow and maybe we'll have what's on your list.
It doesn't work. Humans need to be incentivized by selfishness. It is nature to be selfish. Animals are selfish.
Yeah.
Watch them.
Yeah. I heard a song the other day, and it was, of course, all things are exaggerated, but it was basically capitalism isn't bad because you suck at life.
That's awesome.
And I was like, that's a pretty catchy song.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's what it feels like.
Yep. Under communism, people don't stop being selfish, right? Like it's just the only people who get to take advantage of that are the elites. And they certainly take advantage of it. But there's a great quote, and I can't remember who said it, but talking about communism. And this was somebody who studied, he was a biologist. He studied insects, I think. He said, I think he studied ants. And he said, communism, a great idea, wrong species. And let's just very quickly just go over something which is kind of relevant here. Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. Let's see. This seems like a salient point. This is at Quillette. The 100 million killed under communist regimes matter. It really does matter, especially when you're, kind of planning out how you'd like your society to be run, how you'd like your economy to be run, if you'd like to starve to death or not, if you'd like to just be arbitrarily executed or thrown into a labor camp. It does matter when you think, when you're thinking about these things. The death toll under communist regimes is of incredible magnitude, yet whenever I attack communism for being an evil ideology, I get a serious number of rebuttals. How? What if you said, well, it's not 100 million, it's only 80 million, right? So that's way better. It's like with the killing fields of Cambodia, with the Khmer Rouge and Pol Pot. Where you have estimates of about a quarter of the population, 1 in 4 people needlessly dying in Cambodia because of the communist regime. And then there are critics that say, no, it was only like 1 in 5 people. It was only 20%, like as if that's any better. All right, so hold on. Let's take a quick... hold on a second. Let's see. It was clear to me talking about, hold on. So talking here about being a child, and even then it was clear to me that the Soviet Union was an authoritarian regime, but it wasn't dramatically emphasized in the same way that the evils of Nazi Germany were. The Nazis had become dramatic legends even in my youth, but I'm old enough that in the 1980s and 90s, I also met survivors of the concentration camps, whether personally or during tours of schools. Yeah, it's because academia is socialist. Even back then, even in the 60s and 70s, right? It was full of far leftists, of radicals. Not to the same extent as today, where now it's just a complete takeover. It's just a total ideological capture. But yeah, I mean, if you're a leftist, if you're sympathetic to socialism, well, you're going to play it down. You're going to play down the 100 million deaths. It may be more, maybe 120 million. And this is, straight up intentional. This is people who died in labor camps. This is people who were just executed in various purges. This is people who were intentionally starved to death, like in the Ukraine by Stalin. These are people that were just slaughtered in, the killing fields of Cambodia. These are people who died because of incompetence. This includes millions and millions of people who died of famine, who starved to death because of incompetence. Look up Lysenkoism in the Soviet Union. Look up Mao and the sparrows. Yeah, I mean, there's no upside. Even later, even after Stalin in the Soviet Union, even going into the 70s and 80s, towards the end of the Soviet Union, it was still an awful place. You didn't have the same kind of mass killing. You still did have gulags. It wasn't as much. There was a little bit more freedom, but the quality of life was terrible. People were poor. There were still bread lines, right? It was still a miserable existence, and you still weren't free. There was still that knock at the door in the middle of the night if somebody had informed on you. And I think it's a great tragedy. It's a great tragedy that Western civilization has been lying to itself about communism, about socialism for all these decades now, because it's just a self-inflicted wound. And capitalism is not evil. It has led to the greatest advantages, the greatest improvement in human life in all of history, and it is so dramatic that it's almost hard to believe the difference that capitalism has made in human well-being. All right. It's not that it's, the best of the bad ideas. No, it's a good idea. It's a fantastic idea. And you can thank the modern world for it if you're in a wealthy country, a wealthy capitalistic country. That we can do tomorrow. Let's see. This we've got to do tomorrow. Here's another one from Victor Davis Hanson. Let's check this out quickly. What is he saying here?
Nancy Pelosi, Barbara Boxer, Dianne Feinstein, Kamala Harris, Jerry Brown, Gavin Newsom. They're all from the same place. They're all from the same class. They're all very wealthy. They all have estates. Kevin's living in a $9 million home. Jerry's got a big Grass Valley estate. Feinstein had one of the most beautiful homes at Tahoe. Barbara Boxer's at Rancho Mirage. But their policies made sure that people where I live can't buy a house because of the regulations. It's so hard to do. Or they made sure that food is very expensive, or there's no natural gas. And because it doesn't affect them, because they have enough money that they don't really care about the rates. They can either get their income and capital gains or get right up, but they don't really worry about it. And then something like Los Angeles happens. And now that everybody's dumbfounded. Oh my God, I'm not insulated from this. No, you're not.
Only the very, very top are insulated, it turns out. And they'll make sure they stay insulated. I never thought I'd pay for digital art, but I would absolutely spend irresponsible money on this. So let's take a look. This is actually very interesting.
So I have this thing I like to call the Infinite Sketchbook that I have on my iPad that I use from time to time. And basically, it's this world that I've drawn in for the last 4 or 5 years. And it contains hundreds of hours of drawings that is just like one cohesive piece that I can zoom in or out for as long as possible on. Now, I've only poured a couple hundred hours in, but made a lot of progress. And because I've been a bit busy, I haven't been able to work on it in a while. And there's honestly a lot of little Easter eggs that I forgot. And one of the first things that I actually found when I first logged in is I saw this little spiral on the side here, and I zoomed into the spiral, and there happened to be this little guy waiting for me at the end saying, looking for me. And that made me remember, wait, I have like 5 different versions of this guy just hidden throughout the world. Then that kind of prompted me to find more of them. And to be honest with you, I've been looking through for like an hour now, and I've only been able to find one other little guy, and I'm going to show him to you guys right now. So basically, if you zoom into the solar system and you go all the way into the Earth here, there's a little house on an island. And if you zoom into the window, there's an office with a snow globe on the shelf. And if you zoom into the snow globe, there is a computer. Zoom into the eyeball on the computer and follow the yellow line that goes all the way down into the other eyeball and this eyeball. And all the way in here, within one of the trees here, there's a little comic book shop. And if you zoom into one of the other comic books that has me drawing, and zoom past into the picture frame on the wall, and then zoom past a high school version of me into the third eye, and then zoom into this clock, and there's me again, this time older with longer hair. But you zoom into the forehead of that guy, you are left with this image. And this is one of the first digital drawings that I did. And if you go into this little spiral that's off to the side here, and you zoom in there you have it. You have another little guy that's welcoming you to the end.
Wow. So did he say 4 years? Wow. That, I have to say, that is impressive. It's very kind of autistic. It's very Rain Man, I guess you could say. It's very impressive. I mean, that's an obsession, right? But it's cool. Like I'm very, very impressed by this. You could lose an entire weekend in it and come back with a different blood type. That's cool. I'll do that one tomorrow. What's this here? Bird Talk from Jonathan Slater. Let's take a look.
What are you doing? Kiss, kiss. No. Kiss, kiss. No, I don't want to kiss, kiss. Did you just call me a bitch?
You tell her. You're a bad boy.
What happened? Oh my goodness!
Simon, don't touch my phone. You're excited. Never mind. Don't you do that. Absolutely not. No, you stop talking about it. Hi. Hi. I love you. What are you doing?
It feels like those are fake. Are those real? I mean, they do make weird noises. Let's see. Anybody saying anything about it down here? It feels like I don't know. But anyway, I thought it was amusing. So, The Roddick posted this. Man, when the Japanese discover NOLA street bands, it's over. I've been there to New Orleans a bunch of times and a few times. And yeah, it's like you just see people on the street and they're like the best musicians, like in whatever city you came from, they'd be the best musicians there. This one's got music, so maybe copyright. We'll go to that one again tomorrow. Good April Fool's joke for the kiddos. I think you get the point here. Brussels sprouts with chocolate. I don't think we get to see any children cry at the end, though, unfortunately. That would be perfect. Well, I guess that's it. And then, yeah, all this stuff that we missed, we'll do it tomorrow. Because we need to have material for tomorrow. So I'm afraid that's it, folks. I'm afraid that's it. Anybody watching on YouTube, go subscribe to the second channel, Radio Baloney News. Had it for about 6 months now, 7 months, something like that. And yeah, so this channel you're watching now is only for live streams now, and all the new videos are going to be going on Radio Baloney News. The meme reviews and all this crazy stuff here you see, all going over there from now on. So please go there and subscribe. The algorithm doesn't like it when you do that. It fears how powerful we can become when we join forces. So make the algorithm cry. The algorithm has purple hair, by the way, and a nose ring. So do it now. Let's see. What are you guys saying? Izzy says, seen a video talking about the H-1B visa scams going on in Texas. Seems the fraud there is as bad as the Leering centers. Well, it turns out you get huge fraud anywhere that you get sudden mass influxes of immigrants from the third world. It's just a thing that happens, and it's happening in Canada as well, and it happens just everywhere that happens because it's different cultures. And I don't know, somebody should have thought about that, I think. Maybe somebody should have thought about it. Let's see. He'd been to a Leering Center and leered all he needs to know. The Leering Center stuff is now eternal. Like, that's never going away. Leering Center, leering, didn't leer how to read. Like, that's eternal now. That will never, ever disappear from the consciousness, from the collective consciousness. It's just too good. Let's see. Ottawa James says, yeah, it seems a bit fake. The bird thing, it did, didn't it? Izzy says, hard to tell. I don't trust cute animal vids. All AI now, I assume. Well, it's getting so good, you really can't tell a lot of the time. Ottawa James says, all good, Richie. Thanks for the stream. Thanks for showing up, Ottawa. Donk says, thank you. Thank you. Check out the new channel. Thanks, Donk. I really appreciate that. I'm trying to get it monetized. So in a year, I need to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours watched in a year for it to get monetized. And I think we're on pace to do it. But you never know when the algorithm seems to be, all of a sudden, seems to have gotten a bit more strict with my channel the last week. So I don't know. It seemed to be going pretty good, but with the topics that I talk about, like, YouTube doesn't like that. And I just refuse to censor myself. But yeah, it really does help. I thank you very much for supporting me that way. So should I see if is it worth it for me to do one ad read? Is there anything that'll come up? Nah, there's nothing there. Screw it. Not going to do it. All right. Everybody, I want to thank you for showing up tonight. You guys are awesome. If it weren't, I think you guys are in quite good form tonight as well, actually, by the way. But if it weren't for you, I would be ranting to a cold and indifferent universe, and that would be depressing. It's sad, but you guys are here, so it's not sad. It's fun. So if you keep showing up, I will keep showing up. Oh, you know what we need to do? We need to do a raid, a Rumble raid. It's only for Rumble, but it's the thing I need to do for the creator program. So thanks, everybody. And now I am going to, after I've said my goodbyes, I'm going to get a raid going. If anybody has any recommendations, I'll bring up the Rumble page and we can take a look. All right, live. You all. So we've got to pick a live stream. Let's see. Has anybody got any? JDL, shucks, I'm late. Yes, we're just about to end. Sorry, JDL. We'll be back tomorrow for the premium stream. Let's see. Anybody have any suggestions for a raid, a channel to raid on Rumble? What's something just general that everybody would like? Let's see. How about Matt Christensen? I like Matt Christensen. He's good. I haven't watched his stuff for a while, actually, but I always remember him having good stuff. Let's take a look. I think this is a good one, and I think it fits in with our kind of content. So, copy. And let's go over here. Read. Paste. Okay, well, let's just do it. Let's just go. And it's got a Hooters thing going on, so that's good. Is that Pam Bondi? No, she's fired? Yes, it is. That's Pam Bondi. I guess he's suggesting she's going to have to work at Hooters now. All right, let's take a look. Confirm raid. Let's do it. Looks like they got a good chat going over there, so it should be fun. Thrusters on standby, gearing up. Ignition sequence raid starting in 4, 3, 2, 1. And there you go. All right, everybody. Everybody have a great night. Everybody have a great night. And I'll see you all on tomorrow night. 6 p.m. tomorrow for the Rumble premium stream. Only on Rumble and Locals. So see you all then.